Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. We are doing our third episode with Dodge Industrial, but our second episode with Marc Psaltis. He is the Business Development West Team Manager. Did I got that right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. You guys have... Okay, there's a couple of the big boys that have, I mean, that's prime real estate.
They're always a show stealer.
But you're right in there with them with this spot. This is a perfect spot. Lots of traction coming through your booth, eh?
There is. We've when I saw the spot when I first got here yesterday, I thought, man, we've kind of made it, right? We're in a premium location. We've had a lot of traffic and continue to have a lot of traffic. So it's been good.
What's one of the common questions you're getting here? I used to do that question at the end of the interview, then I put it to the middle. Now I'm just starting right off the top. Common question that you're getting through people coming through.
You know, we always get our Dodge customers. But they always want to see what's new.
Right.
What do I not know about so far? And we've got a few new things here that we're exhibiting that frankly a lot of them didn't know about or knew they heard about it, or the local salesman let them know about it, but they're getting a little more flavor on it at the show, which is always good.
For anybody who doesn't know, can you give us a little outline, bird's eye view of who Dodge is?
Sure. Dodge Industrial is a 100-plus-year-old manufacturer of mounted bearing products, gearing products, and power transmission products such as couplings and conveyor pulleys and things like that. But we are now part of RBC Bearings, which has been a great marriage for us. They're another bearing company. They manufacture other mechanical products just like we do, so it's been a great synergy and great marriage so far.
And it kind of breaks down to they're with the moving equipment, you're with the stationary.
Exactly. Yeah. So they have a very good customer base on the mobile equipment side of mining, where we really focus on the conveyance side of mining. And some of the processing, but mostly on stationary equipment.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's break down. Actually, let's break down where are some. I mean, a lot of people are going to know, but people love the industry. They love hearing about it. Where do you see your bearings within that process?
So, I mean, sitting behind me is an example of it, right? So, in all these conveyor systems that are in mine sites, you're going to have the conveyor belt, and at the head shaft, kind of like this, there'll be a drive system, and that's where we are. We're looking at a motorized torque arm drive here. We've got a MagnaGear drive on the other side, highlighted by our bearings. If there was a way to stuff a coupling in here, we probably would have. But that's where we shine. That's where we reside the most on these mine sites.
Could you paint the picture of the mine? Because it's one thing to talk about here at a MINExpo, very controlled environment.
Yeah.
Just again, for anybody who's never been on a mine, and there are people that work on mines in mining that have never actually been on a site.
Yeah.
So can you paint a picture of what we're actually talking about in the real environment?
Well, in the real environment, you've got raw materials, right? They're in the ground. They're in the earth, right? So some of our other exhibitors here use that big equipment to get it out of the earth.
Yeah.
And then they got to do something with it. They got to move it. So once they move it to a conveyor or they move it in a haul truck or whatever it might be, it goes to get processed. And that processing, there's a lot that goes into processing, but there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving pieces, and a lot of tonnage. That's the name of the game in the mining world. They want to get the tonnage. They want to get a quality product out of it with less spillage while keeping the miners safe and having equipment they can rely on.
Yeah.
So safety is a big deal.
Yeah.
It has become even more of a big deal. So, yeah, if you've ever never been on a mine site, you really need to be kind of coached a little bit first time.
Well, there's in mining, like even construction, construction actually has a higher rate of injury and fatalities actually than mining. Some people don't know that, but it is a dangerous job. But in construction, you can make a little mistake. There is such a thing as a little mistake.
Right.
In mining, heaven forbid someone gets their sleeve caught in a conveyor. There's no mercy. There's no.
It's pretty black.
And we've all know people or seen people that there is a mistake's been happening. And it is, if it's not fatal, it is life.
Yeah, there's a lot of training that goes on in mining.
Yeah.
both safety-wise and then product-wise. At Dodge, we offer a lot of product training on site typically.
So your team's actually going on site training.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
We do because we want our customers to understand the product, but then also how to mount it properly, how to dismount it properly.
Yeah.
While staying safe, properly. Maintain it all at the same time.
Yeah. What are some of the innovations that with that sort of sphere? What are some innovations that Dodge has brought to the market?
We're sitting next to one right now. Okay, this is the MTA, or the motorized torque arm. Some of the innovations that are really fairly new is this safety guard. As simple as this looks and seems, that didn't exist 4 years ago. I think about 4 years ago was when it came out.
It's so strange.
Okay, we left it up to, and not only us but our competitors as well. We left it up to the customer to figure out how to cover.
The little tin.
Yeah. So that was identified as an opportunity, right? And we've developed this guard system that's really fully customizable on site. They can cut it to length, and now everything's covered up, all the rotating equipment.
Yeah.
The other innovation I'd point out was an innovation actually from around 1974, but is still used today because of how effective it is. We've had a lot of people try to copy it, try to emulate it, try to outdo it, build that better mousetrap. It hasn't happened. So you can't see it really on this reducer, but it's called a twin-tapered bushing. And the Dodge twin-tapered bushing is a staple in a lot of our gearing, and it's very simple. It holds a gearbox on a shaft from each side with a set of tapered bushings that install easy. It's a safe install, and then it's an easy install years later down the road to get it off the shaft. And that's the key. Because in these atmospheres and in mining, it's dirty. It can be rusty.
Yeah.
There's dust. Things tend to fret on the shaft and get physically welded, right?
Yeah.
Fretting corrosion.
Oh, yeah.
The twin taper bushing system has proved over and over again for over 50 years. It works.
Yeah.
It works. That's why we haven't changed it. It works.
Wow.
And our customers love it. These products from Dodge because of that twin tapered bushing.
And is that a product? I'm not saying to plug your competitors, but is there different versions of it? Is that out in the market, and it just people look left when they could have looked right and end up not using that product?
A lot of customers do try the other guy's system. A lot of our competition has developed bushing systems to compete with the Dodge twin tapers. And they're new mousetraps, right? Some of them look fancy, and some of them get actually pretty technical. But at the end of the day, it's does it work or does it not work?
Right.
And at least from the outside looking in or hearing from our own customers, it doesn't work like these twin taper bushings do, which is, I think, why we still have that advantage.
Yeah. Is that at an event like this, does everybody know? I guess that's another way I should have asked the question. Does everybody know about this, or is there still an education thing that has to happen?
Because these came out around in 74 and we're still using them, there's a whole older generation that knows about them, right? And they'll come by the booth and they'll say, oh, yeah, Dodge boxes, I've been using them for years.
Right.
I've been able to kick those off the shaft after 30 years of service. But we've got the newer generation in the workforce, too. So we're kind of having to re-educate and remind ourselves that, hey, there's like 2 or 3 generations now that are looking at these and how they work. And that's why we do all the training. And that's why we continually show it.
It's an interesting thing you say. What made me think of it is I was actually just recently, I was walking over there and I realized I'm not getting stopped very much. If I go to a small event, a lot of people know the show.
Yeah.
And you start to think, oh, people know it. Mm-hmm. Then you come to MINExpo.
And you see
and
eat a
little humble pie. You walk through and they're just faces,
Yes.
Just so many people in the industry. And how do you approach that? I know it's some of the topics we want to get to, but how do you approach that as a company, that re-educating another? I hadn't even thought of that from your perspective. You got something around from 74. You got someone joining coming fresh out of this. And now with worker shortages, people are getting into higher positions quicker in some cases. Mm-hmm. And again, it's looking left when they could have looked right. They just don't know.
And honestly, there's an app for that, right? There's an app for everything these days.
Yeah.
I can go on an app and watch somebody install the twin taper bushing set. But until that manufacturer is standing side by side, elbow to elbow, going, yep, we do this first, and we tighten it this way, and we do this, and we look for that, That's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
And so we keep doing it.
Sorry, I really doubled down on this unit here. What are some of the other things that are on display here at the show?
So, like I mentioned from the onset, we are also a mounted bearing manufacturer. Okay, we've been doing that for a long time as well. We're fairly successful in that space, especially in mining. And really, one of the highlights here, I don't know if you can see it all the way back there in that corner.
We'll bring up some footage and stuff.
It's called our safety mount bearing, and that safety mount is easier, faster, and safer to mount. That's a lot of that terminology comes from that product, actually. So traditionally, an SAF style pillow block will have parts and pieces. It really takes someone with a lot of know-how, a lot of practice to mount that.
This is coming into that age and skills.
Yeah, and those folks are, God bless them, they're probably close to retirement,
they're
already have. But there's always that one guy on the mine site that knows how to do it, right? It's like, hey, schedule Joe to be over at that conveyor on Wednesday because we're going to take the whole day to redo the head shaft with those two bearings, because that's what it takes.
Yeah.
We saw that as an opportunity, and we wanted to make something that was faster, easier, and safer to replace that traditional bearing set. Because honestly, that technology is from the 20 and 30s.
Right.
The SAF style bearing.
Wow.
With all those parts and pieces. Even the sealing that's in those is still that old. So, yes, there's a better solution, right? Yeah. So, between our sealing, which we continually raise the bar on our sealing, but then just the mechanical way of mounting it, and then the way of dismounting it is all new and all different. And really, if we know a miner could probably change a tire, I can change a tire. You probably change a tire. But that bearing is as simple as changing a tire.
Really?
Yes.
And when did that come into the market?
That is probably 4 to 5 years old now.
Oh, okay. This hasn't been out. This isn't 74. This has been fairly new. Oh, okay.
That's fairly new. And the newer part about that is we just expanded up to 7-inch on our shelves. And then 10.5 is coming in the near future.
Wow.
So the miners should be happy to hear about that.
How long have you been with the company?
I've been with Dodge 24 years, going on 24 years, but I was in the business 10 years prior to that. So I'm a 34-year-old or 34-year guy in this industry or in this business.
I actually, that's because I didn't want to put you on the spot. In the development, so that was released into the market 5 years ago. What does something like that take in timeline, like the R&D, development, prototype?
Oh, it takes a while. I mean,
like 3-4 years?
When you're Dodge and you have a good name in the industry, you want to make sure whatever you come out with is going to continue that legacy.
Imagine Dodge putting out a new product that doesn't work.
Couldn't happen. Yeah. And we generally don't do that. I mean, I can't really think of one where we have. We go through a lot of study, a lot of R&D, a lot of testing to make sure what we put out there is really going to work and work well.
Yeah. And so did that take a few years? Like what would
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the details behind the scenes there, but all the products generally take several years.
And how has the market responded to it?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. It's so drastically different than the traditional install.
Right.
Where it is an art form and you're feeling with feeler gauges. Yeah. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Now it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. I'm turning bolts with a ratchet instead of slugging on the bearing with a sledgehammer.
Right, yeah.
And as long as I follow those steps and I bring it to a certain torque using a torque wrench, like everything else got a little more technical, but as far as this is concerned, we want you to use a torque wrench. You'll install it just like a tire.
Wow.
5 bolts.
You know what this is? I just had a great interview yesterday with a gentleman. He'd served in the military for, I think he said 20 years. And he'd served overseas. Yeah. He'd served.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say served. It came out wrong. He served, but he saw action as well. Yeah. So he's kind of seen it all. And he was saying that what people don't realize in military stuff is it's not the plane, it's not the helicopter, that goes down.
Okay.
It's the door opening. Like there's a little thing that can really disrupt a lot
of things you don't think about.
Things you don't think about. And of course, in mining, we see the big haul truck, the big conveyor system. But it's a little piece sitting there that makes or breaks the whole operation. It is just wild. It's about that. It's sitting over. It's about that big.
Yeah.
the whole mines.
Yeah, that product has taken. It has taken a mine from having to plan maybe a day, maybe two, to change out bearings, to the change out of the bearing itself, going to say a safety mount, can be as little as 15 minutes.
That's unbelievable.
Especially when someone's done it a few times, they understand that they've had some training and they've kind of perfected the install. But it doesn't take long to really learn it and do it well. So that's a big money saver for the mine.
Yeah.
Because now they can, that's a lot of time they get back. Oh, time money,
safety,
right?
training. It's just the whole thing is just crazy.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, I think there was a third product you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, so the Dodge Optify platform, okay? We talked about it in our last meeting a little bit, but sensors, which I think you can, I don't know if you can see it. There's one on top of this gearbox back here.
Oh, yeah, I see it over there, yeah.
They plug in and to our products are all sensor ready, okay? So as soon as that gets plugged into that product or this one, I can tell it through an app or on a laptop what product it's sitting on from Dodge, and it also already knows what the baseline vibration should be. It should know the temperature range it should operate in. Everything's there.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. So we have that. We have gateways that collect all this information from the mine site up to 600 yards in some cases, line of sight. That gets into setting it up and doing it properly. But besides the sensors, there's an IntelliLube product, which is actually on the end of this motor back here.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Everybody knows about these grease automatic lubers, right? They've been around 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of brands out there. We've entered that game, but we're not just another automatic luber. That's an automatic luber with smarts.
Right.
Okay? So it'll work within the Optify platform to tell us my grease cartridge is 50%, right? Or it's down to 10%, or it's time to order a new grease cartridge. Because with the automatic lubers, as good as they are, unless a human is going around checking to see if they're out, you don't know if they're out.
Right.
And a lot of those are covered by little canisters too, so you can't even see it.
Yeah.
So that solves that issue. It's just an addition to the platform.
And so a platform like that, now the uptake on some of these products is so obvious. On something like that, is there a little more education that has to before someone's,
Sure. I mean, there's a little education as far as commissioning and things like that.
Right.
Once it's set up, it's very easy. And again, we're big on training. We'd love to come in and just train your staff or whoever will be working with this. And just a few years back, our IIoT group back at headquarters, I think we were 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
We're now like in double digits. We've got a lot of engineers that'll help you evaluate what you're looking at, help you set it up. We've got some field services teams that would also come out and help get you started on the Optify platform.
It's just amazing. Again, like we do all the companies that are, when we've done a ton of episodes here, but it never ceases to amaze me, the little parts and pieces that are putting together and how much innovation is going on behind. People will still tell me that mining is slow to change. And I go, well, it's probably lack of knowledge. Yes and no. There's some main things, the ball mill and the sag mill, they're still running.
Yeah.
But man, doing this show, like these efficiencies that, RBC and Dodge are doing, it's amazing.
Yeah. Just keep trying to raise the bar, right?
Non-lubricated bearings. RBC, I didn't even know that was a thing. So it's pretty amazing. Thanks for coming back on the show. It's always fun to do a second time. So hope we do it again.
Thanks again.
Take care.